YouTube, what a YouTube, Down Home News TV. I'm your host, Dre. Got an article coming from Fox News. Dem mayor blasts for ridiculously blaming deceased GOP president for deadly July 4th weekend gun violence. Let me get into the article before we watch this hilarious video. The Richard Nixon Foundation and many conservatives on social media are firing back at Chicago's Democratic Mayor Brandon Johnson after he seemingly placed partial blame on former President Richard Nixon, who died 30 years ago, for Chicago's weekend of gun violence. What we've experienced over the weekend is unacceptable, and we didn't get here overnight. And everyone knows that. Let's tell the full story of what happened. Johnson, during a Monday press conference after 19 were killed and over 100 were injured by shootings in Chicago over the weekend. Dang. Chicago. Black death has unfortunately been accepted in this country for a very long time. We had a chance 60 years ago to get at the root causes, and people mocked President Johnson, and we ended up with Richard Nixon. In a statement to Fox News Digital, Jim Byron, president and CEO of the Richard Nixon Foundation, pushed back on the mayor's claims. Richard Nixon was a champion of civil rights as vice president and as president. Byron said about Nixon, who died in 1994, the record was clear. Unfortunately, there are many misconceptions about Richard Nixon, but perceptions of years ago are now being reconsidered as we see renewed interest in studying and understanding his life and legacy in full. As of now, our correction of the record is racing toward 1 million views on X alone. Byron continued, what is happening in Chicago is heartbreaking, and I imagine the people of Chicago want leaders who take responsibility and work together to solve problems rather than try and pass the blame. In this case, ridiculously and gratuitously. Byron was referring to a social media post on Monday from the foundation responding to a clip of Johnson's clips posted by conservative digital strategist Greg Price. Mayor Johnson's reference to President Nixon is gratuitous, and the facts are not on his side in his characterization of Richard Nixon and the Nixon administration's civil rights record. The text thread went on to point out the various moves the Nixon administration took to promote civil rights, including desegregating schools, civil rights funding, and executive order calling on federal government agencies to apply equal opportunity policies to every aspect of the federal personnel policies and practices, and support for black-owned businesses. Long before the first black president, Nixon forged strong civil rights legacy. The headline for a blog post from the foundation read, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson announces reparations task force blast systematic racism in Juneteenth speech. That is crazy. Pretty sure Democrats had control over Chicago, basically for over 50 years, if I'm not mistaken. 50 years. I could be exaggerating, but it's been about that long of a time frame. But let's get into the video clip of what Mr. Johnson has to say. Y'all let me know who y'all think was worse. Beetlejuice? What they call her, Beetlejuice. That's hilarious. You kind of the black Beetlejuice. But who do y'all think is a worse mayor? I mean, they both seem about equal, but Not saying every person in the Democratic Party is corrupt or don't care about the city they live in, but it seems that nothing is improving, and they always talk about progress and progressiveness. I don't know.
Where there's poverty, there's destruction and terror and torment. Now, as I said, I'll finish with this. We got to hold people accountable. But you know what my ultimate goal is to transform this city so we cut off the pipeline of boys between the ages of 10 and 19 being either victims or the perpetrators. So, yeah, it is personal. Black death has been unfortunately accepted in this country for a very long time. We had a chance 60 years ago to get at the root causes, and people mocked President Johnson. And we ended up with Richard Nixon. I'm gonna work hard every day to transform this city. That's what it takes to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago, and I need everybody to step up and help us do that.
My biggest issue with these situations is that I bumped into a lot of people that left California, Chicago, what other states? Even Tennessee, for the most part. And when they come to red states, it really doesn't seem like they realize what they're actually fleeing from. And they never change their voting habits. And that's the scary thing about it. They run for something and then vote the same type of people back in to office wherever they land at. And I don't know if I ever lived in yeah, I did. I lived in North Dakota. I think they got a Democratic governor. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't a big city or anything, but it was more of a rural area. And I don't know. The thing they're running from, I'm just afraid they're going to vote the same type of people back in office. I'm not sure if they're aware of that or they just really don't care, but some of the people I talk to about it, they still have the same mindset that they're going to vote the way they vote. Not here to persuade anybody or influence their decisions. I mean, they have their reasons for the way they vote, but at the same time, do you really sit back and think about, well, we're fleeing high taxes, we're trying to get away from all the crime, but we're gonna vote in the same people that allow these type of activities to continue. Not saying Republicans are any better, but I mean, there's a reason a lot of people are fleeing the red states or independent states. Down Home News TV. Y'all have a good